India would like to emphasize the importance of UNAMA and its mandate, and underline our full support to UNAMA in these challenging times as it endeavors to promote peace and stability in Afghanistan. Pakistan, in its statement earlier today, questioned the intent of UNAMA and the veracity of UNSC's report. We would like to stress that support for multilateralism and the United Nations is not an a la carte menu. Pakistan's campaign of military airstrikes against Afghanistan is causing huge civilian casualties and sufferings to the Afghan people. We reiterate Secretary General's deep concern at civilian casualties caused by airstrikes, cross-border firing, and targeted killings as detailed in UNAMA reports. We support the Secretary General's call urging compliance with obligations under international law, including international humanitarian law, and ensuring protection of civilians. We also support UNAMA's earlier calls for investigation to ensure accountability, prevent recurrence, and uphold victims' rights. Such unconscionable acts of violence are a blatant assault on Afghanistan's sovereignty and a threat to the region's peace and stability. India strongly condemns the airstrikes on Afghan territory, which are flagrant violations of international law and the UN Charter and the principle of state sovereignty. According to UNAMA, 372 civilians have been killed and 397 injured just in the first 3 months of this year. A large majority of them during the holy month of Ramadan, a time of peace, mercy, and reflection, which makes the act all the more reprehensible. We reiterate UNAMA's call for compliance with obligations under international humanitarian law, including the principles of precaution, distinction, and proportionality to protect civilians from harm. No faith, no law, and no morality can justify these actions. Let me reiterate, dressing up a massacre as a military operation does not absolve the perpetrator. Killing, maiming, and orphaning civilians is not counter-terrorism. Espousing high principles of international law and Islamic solidarity while mercilessly carrying out airstrikes during the holy month of Ramadan is a perfect example of hypocrisy. Blaming neighbors for its own failures is an old Pakistani habit. This attempt to hoodwink the world will fail. Coming up with official notifications directing Pakistan's government agencies to start referring to groups inside its own borders as Fitna al-Hindustan is nothing but officially sponsored misinformation and disinformation dressed in religious terminology. This is an outcome of an organized factory of hate coming from the deep state of Pakistan, which aims to keep their citizens in a state of permanent hostility with India in order to perpetuate their stay in power and control of national resources and detract them from core political and economic problems. The de facto coup by the military through the 27th Constitutional Amendment is only its most recent manifestation. India stands steadfast in rejecting terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Only coordinated efforts of the international community can ensure that ISIL and Al-Qaeda and their affiliates, including the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and proxies of the LET, such as the Resistant Front, along with those who facilitate their operations, no longer indulge in cross-border terrorism. We call on the international community to work together towards this noble goal. Madam President, we lend our voice again in re-emphasizing the importance of incentivizing positive actions. The political reality of Afghanistan has changed in the last 5 years, and the current UN sanctions regime must take that into account. The UN and the international community need policy instruments that aim to benefit the people of Afghanistan and nudge policy in the right direction, rather than only wielding tools of punishment that are yielding diminishing returns. The international community must engage with all stakeholders across all formats. I thank you, Madam President.